Alright guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Mindset Mastery. Today we have Andrew Stupfert and Joseph Graff. So one of the topics we want to get into on today's episode is going to be geared towards self-improvement, which is kind of where I'm trying to go with this podcast. So we're going to be talking about society, how we feel about the way that society is going right now and our opinions on that, and then how social media is kind of impacting how society is developing in a negative way, in my opinion. I don't know how you guys feel, but we'll get into that. And then I also want to hear about your guys' story, if you're comfortable about talking about the last couple of years and how you've kind of grown personally from that.
Yeah.
And then for you, how you were explaining your painting, what you want to get into going forward, and kind of how you got into the self-improvement, trying to level up, I guess, kind of as you were saying.
Yeah.
And then also how you're getting involved with Sneeko. That's pretty big, and I think some people would be interested in hearing about that, what that's like, because that's a pretty big name in social media, so not everyone gets the opportunity to do something like that. So yeah, gotta think of where to start with all that, because that was kind of a lot.
Basically, I started off with learning Sneekos. He does kind of a creativity course, and I got in there and started talking to people. I brought Joseph into one of his main editors, and now it is his main editor, but he has his own Discord.
Okay.
And so we joined in there. We started talking to kind of different people that know Sneeko, that are down in Florida. They're trying to all do the same thing that we're doing, better themselves, get to kind of more money, really getting away from the situation that they're in.
Yeah, it's just a course designed to improve. He has calls with high value people that have been successful in many different aspects, like e-commerce, TikTok, social media, that just have specific niches, and so we learn from all of the different type of people.
And definitely the nicest thing about it is it's not necessarily just a place to come and learn. The biggest thing about it is everyone else that's in it.
Yeah,
you get a lot of the networking is absolutely wild in his server. And then that helped us get in with Bronson, his main editor, and we started learning from there and have gotten a lot closer. I would say Bronson and Sneeko, but because he's a really, really nice guy, taught us a lot.
Well, he's a good kid. He's just like us. He's a normal kid. He's had a tough life. I won't get into it, but he has, he's gone through his trials and
past traumas.
Yeah. So
exactly.
he just got into editing and made his grind every night.
Kind of found his escape and then worked his way up and got from there.
Exactly. Now, he makes
money.
Yeah, so much money.
Yeah, I think that's how. Me personally, that's kind of why I started getting into entrepreneurship and wanting to start more content creation. You start, I feel like, for the money, and then you kind of fall in love with it as a passion, and you kind of say, money might be a byproduct of this, but this maybe isn't only why I'm in it, and you kind of start to develop a love for what you're doing. Because I started doing the content creation as, maybe I can blow up, these people are making so much money off of this, and it seems so easy, and then you learn it really is a grind, and it's not for everyone, and you really have to be into it, I feel like, to succeed in it.
Oh, 100%. Some of the biggest YouTubers today, it took 10 years to even get to the point they are. For a lot of years, they were just sitting there streaming with 3 guys on. It takes time, but you really anything in this world, if you stay steady at it, consistent, and work hard. There's not a single man out there that won't find his objective and complete it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Joseph, I kind of want to hear how you got into the social media side of things and what you're trying to do with that. How you started the short form editing and how you got involved with him.
Yeah. And
just kind of how your life's developed over the past few years and what you're trying to do going forward.
It kind of started graduating high school. Obviously, that's everybody does it, and it's it's a big step. And
it's what do you do after that?
Yeah, it was hard because
that's all I'm saying.
It's a big thinker. That's
exactly. And my father, people who knew me in high school know I wasn't allowed to do much, especially as an 18-year-old. I wasn't allowed to do, simple things that I should have been allowed to do. So it was rough trying to navigate that, especially trying to find myself through that. And so I clung on to others,
girls.
It was a bad, because I didn't know myself mentally. I didn't know my emotions. I didn't know how to deal with it, not being able to talk to anyone about it, because I had an older brother figure in my family, and it's hard to show weakness
Yeah.
when you have that role. So the main thing for me was moving out to North Carolina. When my dad decided that he was kicking me out basically.
Yeah.
I kind of had to rewire everything because it was the loneliness was the biggest factor in dealing with everything. So being lonely, and especially in this world that's like so connected, and social media, you see everybody, you see what they're doing, like, and you never had access to this in the past. Like I can see friends, family, like enemies, like just what everybody's up to, and it's like it obviously builds up jealousy and negative feelings. So being able to navigate through that was a difficult journey to learn. So being by myself, I kind of find my strengths and weaknesses, obviously, of course, comes with that. So I started getting into making music, just producing music, and obviously it's a tough niche.
I mean, that's a grind.
It's everything. I mean,
You gotta have a lot of skill and a little bit of luck to be successful in something like that.
And the right connections. That's the biggest thing I realized is like once you get out of high school and into the real world, everything's about who you know and how how they can be of use to you and how you can be of use to them.
How you perceive, like how people perceive you is such a big thing today.
Yeah.
Because people can look up your name on social media and just assume
They can-
hundreds of things about you just based on the things that you show other people.
I feel like today, that's one of the biggest problems about today with everyone putting on fronts on social media and everything.
Yeah.
It's just, you're getting don't judge a book by its cover, but everyone's doing it on kind of almost under a magnifying glass.
I feel like you said, don't judge a book by its cover. I feel like that's everyone's default at this point. When you hear someone's name or you see a post, let's say it's a girl that you're interested. Oh, your friend says, oh, she's hot. You look at her Instagram, and then you just assume, oh, she has this perfect life. Like I could never have a chance, or she's probably so cool. And then you maybe meet her in real life, and she's completely different. You have no clue who they really are behind that front of social media.
Oh, yeah.
And like you said, I feel like that's a problem when you can create whoever you want to be on social media through a few pictures. Videos are a little bit harder. That's where you can get more authentic, and that's why I think YouTube is the best platform for building authenticity through a brand.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Rather than Instagram, because anyone can have a flashy Instagram page. You can rent a Lamborghini for, I don't know, a couple hundred. I don't really know because I've never checked, but a couple hundred, maybe 1,000 for a few hours, and then just flex that on Instagram.
And
Grow your following. People are like, oh, this dude is rich. He's living. And in reality, you're living in your mom's house. You hate your life. You have no idea what direction you want to go in.
That's the issue with, like, especially TikTok. Like, people just, it's all about looks today. It's nothing.
It's really just like so materialistic, in my opinion.
It's not how your mind, like how you work.
Yeah.
How I work.
And TikTok made it so much worse than it was just with Instagram, because I feel like it used to be some of that, but you could kind of see it, and then a lot of it was more just fun and authentic. But now everyone's just trying to use other people, I feel like, for clout, for views, especially on TikTok.
For people's validation.
And don't get me wrong, like, views are cool, engagement's awesome, especially us being in content creation.
Yeah.
We love numbers. We love seeing the numbers go crazy.
Yeah.
But you can do it in a way that's way more authentic than posting, I don't know, a thirst trap on TikTok and getting millions of views, and then you try and monetize your audience, and no one's going to want to support you because you literally are just using them for money and clout.
100%.
But there's no real purpose behind that brand. You're not offering any value. So that's kind of why I don't. Well, that's kind of why I
like that.
happened once in the last pod as well. I gotta lock in. What was I saying? I had a good thought. But
I got you with a good thought. I feel like nowadays, like especially with the influencer influx, everyone's trying to become this influencer that can travel all over the place, do what they think they want to be on the show, and I feel like Instagram and social media has really brought together an attention need. It seems like everyone just wants attention, and especially with TikTok. TikTok came in and basically revolutionized videos to a point where they have to become so addicting that for 30 seconds. It's crazy when you look. I'm sure you have a couple TikToks up and you can kind of see the viewers. It's crazy that, like, a lot of people will only stay in for like 10
it drops
seconds
off
because their attention disorder is just not there.
Even in YouTube nowadays, it used to be longer form contents. There was a point where, I mean, podcasts are kind of making a resurgence now because everyone's seeing, wow, that is really the authentic way to build a brand and really monetize your audience in the right way and actually build something you can be proud of. Like for me, I would way rather have a podcast with 10,000 subscribers that are loyal fans than a TikTok with 1 million followers.
Because nobody's getting value out of that.
Yeah, exactly. It's mutual. I'm being more fulfilled by that. I'm enjoying that more, and I'm providing value to my audience. Whereas TikTok, I'm just attention hungry, views hungry, and they're literally getting nothing but 5 seconds of entertainment value from it.
I feel like it also kind of just depends what type of content creator do you want to be. Do you want to be the type of guy that's actually authentic, there with your fans, like trying to help them get to a better level while you're getting to a better level, or just try and take advantage of them, monetize them, and make money off them?
Because that never works long term. That might work in the short term, but eventually you're gonna feel not guilt, essentially, but eventually you're gonna feel that, what am I really doing? Do I even enjoy this? Am I providing any value? Do I even enjoy living this lifestyle? And then you're going to find yourself burned out, not wanting to continue. But if you're enjoying what you're doing every day and you're getting good feedback from that, that's when you're going to want to continue. And it's going to benefit both people.
Just back to what I was saying, like about, in North Carolina with my life, like this guy, he was a big help for me to kind of direct where I was going.
He was that guy that was there for you.
Yeah, the only person
every
really.
time. Yeah.
So it was nice to be able to just talk to him, and him and I have similar goals to what we want to do and how we want to help people, how we want to monetize, how we want to create. So he kind of steered me in the direction of editing, and because that's what he's been doing. I've been watching, learning, and just figuring out where I want to go.
Yeah.
Because in North Carolina, I was just working a 9 to 5 every day, trying to make money, trying to figure out what I'm going to do with my time, because it's hard to meet people when you don't go to school.
Exactly.
And it was more so nice to be alone, because like I had no responsibilities. I went to a park and just walk, and it just felt like,
I mean, that's
I felt like I was
in a
free.
sense.
Yeah, it was like I don't have to worry about drama, social media. I don't have to worry about what people think of me, what I'm being viewed as, and how it's just, I didn't have to worry about my story being skewed by other people.
Yeah.
Because I knew myself.
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that, of you saying you didn't have to be involved in that drama and you felt like you could really express yourself.
Yeah.
Because when I went to school for the first year, to college, it was so different than high school because I was a new face, essentially. In high school, everyone knows your past, everyone knows who you are. You knew me all of high school. I mean, I think I was generally pretty chill, just a normal guy. Like, I didn't have anything that everyone was like, oh, it's Will, like, I hate that guy. Like, I'm just kind of going through, I have my friends, I give a little head nod to like 20, 30 people as I walk through my day. And
it wasn't anything serious.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, that is more comfortable. And then you go to college, if you're not fitting in right away, wanting to drink every day,
and become
get
part of that
get
college.
plastered, fit in, get with a bunch of girls to try and be cool, or try and get with a bunch of girls to be cool. And I found myself trying to be someone I wasn't because I was trying to impress other people to fit in, and I'd never felt like the outsider. But when I got to college, I felt like the outsider because I had goals and aspirations that I wanted to work towards, and they were not aligned with anyone else at school. And I feel like they were there just to be comfortable. And I think there is some good aspect to college, which can be the social aspect if you find a good group. But for me, I just didn't find a group that I clicked with, so it felt very isolating. And when I'm back here, for example, for the summer, I feel like I can really be myself more, hang out with who I want to hang out with. And I'm not forced or confined to go throughout this certain schedule throughout the day and see the same people. And as much as you can try and be yourself, you do find yourself putting on a little bit of a front around certain people. Even if you don't want to admit that, I knew that I was trying to be like someone who I wasn't, and so now I do feel a lot more free because I can do what I want. I can hang out with who I want, have better conversations like this, for example. And now I feel like I can really go in the right direction because it's super important who you surround yourself with.
It's important to have these conversations too.
That's one of the main reasons we got kind of into the Discord and stuff is we wanted to find more intelligent like people because I feel like nowadays kind of what you were talking about in college. Nowadays, a lot of people just like kind of use that 4-year period of just like, let's go have fun, let's go party, let's not worry about our future. And
It's
I
a
kind of,
waste.
that's why I dropped out of college. Like I started hanging around these guys, and I was like, I'm out of this. Like
Yeah.
I can't just. I don't like being around people with that sort of mindset. You know, I'm always wanting to look forward to the future. Like you want to set yourself up nice for the future, not
Yeah.
drawn back. And these, especially at our young age, this is when we can get the most work done. And so it's really sad to see people throwing away their lives. And it's nice to get on. That's one of the positives of social media is you can find other like-minded people, have really intelligent conversations with them. Yeah.
And it's also, the con as the other side is people just want to party for 4 years. Because that's all they see on people partying, people, throwing crazy ragers, and it looks like they're having fun.
And it looks fun for a certain amount of time. You see on social media, wow, they must really be enjoying their life. I wonder if they really are happy. Because me personally, looking at that, I'm thinking I wouldn't have fun doing that. It's cool if they have fun doing that, but me personally, I'm not satisfied with where I'm at, so I'm not going to take that time to just, I don't know. It seems like a waste, kind of like you said. And if some people enjoy it and they really do want to go get their degree and they have that money to spend, or say they're on the full ride scholarship, I was talking about this in the last podcast, then if you need that degree to get the career you want and you're comfortable living that lifestyle. Sorry, that's a moth.
Yeah,
Living that
right.
No way. If you're comfortable living that lifestyle and you are okay with the 9 to 5 and what that might look like for you, even if you are successful, I would still prefer not to be in a 9 to 5, even if I'm making as much money as I want a year. It's more about that time freedom. Because financial freedom isn't just the money aspect. It's you can travel when you want. You can have the relationships you want. You can take time away. If you're your own boss, you can say, I don't feel like working today. I need to recharge and go on a hike or something and just not work.
Yeah.
That's why
you make your own schedule.
Entrepreneurship is really like in America especially is like the best way to stay rich, and just owning businesses is like the best way to get rich first and then to stay rich and enjoy your lifestyle the most, because nowadays people have just gotten into this lifestyle of just work till you're 60, retire and die. Like that's, I don't know about you boys, but that just doesn't seem like the Matrix life isn't for me.
It works for some people, and some people don't even think about the other side because you're so programmed in high school and by our parents. And it's nothing to say that our parents don't want the best for us. Like our parents obviously care for us and do want the best for us. I mean, at least most of the time. But they just don't know because back in their time it was different. Like that college was the best route, and it was a lot cheaper, and it was a lot more valued by, say, employers and things like that. There wasn't this huge world of social media and the internet where you can make so much money in such little amount of time if you learn how to do it correctly. There's so much more opportunity, I feel like, with the social media, and that is one of the positives, but there's a lot of cons to it as well, like we were talking about earlier.
Yeah,
But I think
not even through social media, and necessarily, I started a little small business with me and my brother.
Yeah.
Just went out and started handing around cards. Like I'll do labor, $25 an hour. The amount of clients you get is crazy because the world is a pretty negative place, but if you're showing that you want to improve, people aren't going to stop you.
if you're putting out positivity, you will receive that back a lot of the time.
100%.
I mean, I haven't posted anything about it. I no social media at all, and I've made a decent amount of money. So
I didn't know about it, so
yeah,
I'm following what you're doing.
It's just having that drive to just do more, and that didn't even take much of my time.
Yeah.
It's a day a week, and I make $400 a day.
Yeah.
In one day, it's like, why not? More money, more power to me.
Yeah, and that's something that you're also doing out of a genuine place. Like you're not doing it out of a negative place. You're using skills that you have, trying to help out other people who are in more fortunate scenarios and are able to pay you to do that.
Yeah.
And you're building yourself up, learning skills, gaining money so you can invest or go into different opportunities that are what you're passionate about. And so there's nothing wrong with that, and you can even scale something like that up if that's what you want to do.
Exactly.
So I think a lot of it at our age is just finding what you love doing, and figuring out how to roadmap to that spot, get where you want to be, and you got to take steps up to get where you want to get to. That's why I'm still working at the Y a couple days a week, 4 or 5 days a week, 4-hour shifts. It's easy, but it's that guaranteed small amount of income that I want to have so that I can, with the rest of my time, I can pursue content, what I want to do, and slowly start to build that up. And then as I go along, I can transition more and more into what I want to do as it's financially secure, as it's more financially secure for me. I can actually sustain it. That's just the hard thing about starting out with it. Getting off the ground is the hardest thing. And then you just have to ride that wave after you get off the ground.
90% of businesses fail before they hit their 5-year mark.
Yeah.
It's like if you usually get past even the 1-year mark, that's a huge accomplishment. And then once you get past the 5-year, I mean, most businesses can withstand for quite a while. I mean,
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself, because I know you're in college,
Mm-hmm.
and I know on the last podcast you mentioned trying to figure out what you want to do this summer.
Yeah.
So, with this content creation, what do you see yourself doing after this summer?
So I have a couple of goals for the summer specifically, and then I'm kind of using that as a gauge for how invested in it I am, how much I really enjoy it, and then how successful it is as well. So I'm on my main Instagram, which I don't do any content creation for. I don't do any marketing, monetization, any of that. That's just my personal Instagram page.
Yeah.
Then I have Will Bergman Track, which is for my track and field journey, I guess you could say, starting from not as talented of an individual, but someone who made it to the D1 level, and just trying to get better every day, spread my knowledge of what I do have of the sport, show my training for people who are interested in that. That's super niche.
Yeah.
I did get sponsored by one supplement company, Grow Mind, which I'm very grateful for, and I've been working for that for a lot of years, been supporting them for a lot of years, and they took a chance on me because I'm the smallest athlete they've ever sponsored, which is crazy. I talked about that in the last podcast, so I won't go into that, but I'm making some money from that. I make commission on any sales I do, and I get free product, so that's less of an expense I have for what I use for sports. So that's helpful. And then going to be starting to earn some brand deals with that. My YouTube channel is at about 900 subscribers right now in 6 months, so that's pretty good. And I was in school while doing that. So, and I've done a lot of shorts, not a lot of long form. So I think since I have more time this summer, my goal is to do 1 to 2 long form videos a week, and I'm trying to really stick to that, starting this week because I have 2 videos right now that I'm editing. So spending a lot of time editing, it's a lot of work, as you guys obviously know.
oh yeah.
And short form content is still difficult to edit, but you can do a lot more videos quickly than long form. And long form, I really want to get my videos edited well so that they're entertaining.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, track is super niche, so there's not going to be a huge following for it. But if I've already had this small amount of success in a short period of time, I think I can definitely do a decent job with it because I am passionate about it. I know it's not going to be the most profitable thing, but I'm passionate about it. So that's what I'm doing with that. And then I just started a new training account, which is just for my training in the gym, mainly my lifting, nutrition, supplements, training advice, all things like that. That's called Berg's Fit, just because I had to find it, or not Berg's Fit, Berg's Training.
Yeah.
I had to find a name for that because it was hard. And I had Bergman Training, which I liked more, but then I made the account and it got banned instantly because Instagram just thought, I think it's because I don't even know, but I literally made it and used the same phone number that I had on a different account, so it got banned instantly. They thought I was just a bot.
Yeah.
So that kind of was annoying, and now I can't use that username again because it's taken, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, so I have that, which I'm gonna start promoting more of my Gorilla Mind sponsorship. Maybe working up towards other sponsorship and brand deals and stuff like that. But that's more just to build an authentic audience because I do feel like I have a lot of knowledge on training and nutrition because I've been lifting for 5 years and I'm super passionate about that outside of track. So both of those are kind of in the sports realm. So I love making content about that. And then that's starting basically from zero. Now 150 followers in 3 or 4 days, which is pretty good for starting out. But I'll be scaling that up over the summer. I'm posting every single day on that account. So consistency is the most important thing. Anyone who's trying to grow on social media,
100%.
consistency is the most important thing. And then for the podcast, we're also just starting it up. And that's really not about monetization at the moment. That's just about growing a brand, growing my personal brand, networking. A lot of it's networking. I'm getting here talking to you guys. I've never even met you before. But we're going to be a lot closer after talking through this and just talking to like-minded people.
Yeah.
So
it's hard to find, and I really enjoy it because a lot out there in the real world, it's I don't know. It's kind of like the bot mindset of the Matrix. Like sometimes it seems a little iffy and it seems a little far fetched, but then you talk to enough people and it's just like, wow, a lot of people actually like out there aren't trying to get to the next level and be like intelligent and find yourself at a place where you're satisfied with your life.
Yeah.
And then bridging that over into like our next section is, I want to ask you, because Stu and I have talked about this a decent amount.
Okay.
What's your idea of like a high value individual? And we'll go male and female, obviously pretty different. So like, what's your idea of a high value man?
So I think there's two ways to think about it. One is what other people perceive you as, and the other side is what you perceive yourself as.
Yeah.
I think in terms of perceiving myself, let's say, I don't think I'm an extremely high value man at the moment, but obviously that's what we're all working towards. So that's what self-improvement's all about. I think it's someone who is intelligent but knows the limits of their intelligence and knows that there's always more to learn, like always hungry, ambitious to learn. Someone who's secure in a financially secure spot where they could support themselves and a family. So obviously that's going to be later down the road, but with things we're doing, we have a higher chance to be successful earlier on in life. So that's another way you can get to be becoming a high value man. That's kind of a loose term because everyone obviously has a different version of that. I think it's more about how you perceive yourself than how other people perceive you, because some people perceive only money as a high value man, but that person could be a dick or could be abusing their wife, or you don't know. So I think it really is about how the people that are very close to you and how yourself perceives yourself. But I don't really have a super strong opinion on that. I'm just trying to improve every single day. I think that's the biggest thing. Improving yourself every year, every month, every year a little bit in some aspect. Yeah. And as long as you're working towards becoming the best man or woman that you can be, that's all you can really do, because there's no such thing as like a perfect man or a perfect high value man. But what do you guys think about that? Because you said you've talked about it before.
Yeah, for me, it's a big mindset thing. Because in our society today, that's one of the most valuable things. Because everybody values materialistic things, money, fancy cars, fancy clothes, and how you look is such a big part in what people value you today. So my idea of a high value man is just empathetical. He's in touch with his emotions. Yeah. And that might sound weak as an idea to say, but somebody who's not in touch with his emotions is dangerous. Yeah. Like that's the school shooters, the people that hurt people. Yeah. Like the abusers. So it's about being in touch with your emotions, understanding the people around you, and wanting to grow and bring people up with you. Yeah. Is probably the biggest thing I would say. Because everybody today wants to step on others to push themselves up. And just the idea of that is you're not going to make it far. Yeah. If you don't have a group of people around you that value you as a person and see you and, I guess, appreciate the knowledge and wealth that you bring to certain situations. Yeah. That's my idea of a high value man.
I think also something, before you go, I kind of cut you off, but no worries. Before he explains his viewpoint, one thing you were saying about how people step on other people to get where they want to be, and some people like that will view themselves as a high value man because they're saying, oh, look how much success I've had. But if you said they're not in touch with their actual emotions, they'll think they're a high value man, but in reality, if they've used other people, their mindset's not in the right place.
It's not a good person.
It's about taking rather than giving. Because
like if you give to receive, you're never gonna make it far. If you give to give, then
you'll naturally receive, and both people will end up being happier, more successful, and it's way more genuine and authentic, like we've been talking about before.
So I would say my definition of a high value man is someone that can provide for him and his family if he has that, and then also he has to have a decent amount of respect from him and his peers. I think when other men can usually tell if the guy is a good or a bad guy just by a handshake, and that goes a long way. And so I think you need to kind of show yourself off to the peers that you're high morality, you respect others, you try and do the right thing. And I think when you go that way as a man and you have goals set in mind, then there's really nothing you can't accomplish when you kind of have that sort of attitude and mindset.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a little bit of a mix of both ears, but
Yeah.
I think it's a successful way to get to the next level.
I think the biggest thing that I'm taking away from all three of our answers is your mindset and how you hold yourself responsible and accountable for your actions and how much work you put in to be a better man. Because if you're genuinely putting in that work to try and improve and you have the right mindset of I want to be that high value male, then I think no one can really take that away from you, even if someone feels, say, you've betrayed them in the past, they're not a good guy. You might have learned from those mistakes. Say you went through that trauma, you've had those times where you're by yourself, you feel isolated, but those are the times when you really grow. Like for me, when I've been through the biggest struggle, I had to do a lot of self-reflection, and I've actually grown a lot in the past year from that self-reflection. We were talking about that the other day at the gym.
Yeah, it's not how, especially in these young years, we made mistakes.
We make a lot of mistakes.
I'm a hard learner.
Yeah.
That's the only way I
So,
learn.
I want to talk about. I don't want to, exclude the women. So I want to see. Obviously,
we'll get some female guests.
Yeah,
on.
Get some female
a little
guests.
controversial, but I just want to see what's your idea of a high value woman today?
To be honest, I haven't focused that much on females in my life recently. I've been trying to focus more on
I don't blame you.
building myself up to the point where I can recognize a high value female, or a female that will compliment me very well, and I can support her, she can support me. So, and it's really hard to find that at college. And I mean, you guys obviously have seen that. You know what it's like.
Yeah.
It's not the place to find a woman you're gonna marry, and I think to be a high value female, she needs to be someone that supports you, but also you can easily love them and support them without it having to be feeling like work. It should feel extremely easy, and she should be someone that's the caliber that you can marry. And I think it's hard to find that at our age. We need to mature a lot. Like, guys obviously need to mature. If you have a mature female, she's not gonna want to date you if you're in college drinking and trying to be this cool guy.
Yeah.
You really do need to be working on yourself. So I think it is partly on the man to attract that high value female.
Yeah.
And I think it's equally as important, the respect from the female to the male and the male to the female. So in terms of what traits and qualities the high value female has, I think not being extremely promiscuous, obviously. Like, you want a loyal girl, that's very important to me. I've just never understood really like the females giving themselves to a lot of different guys. That's fine if that's the route that they want to go, but personally, for me, I would want a girl who's loyal and who's been faithful in the past, not been with a ton of guys. And that's the hard thing about the longer you wait, like the more girls have gotten with different guys.
Yeah.
And it's hard because you can't really be upset about her past because you don't know what she's been through. You've
Yeah.
obviously been through the same kinds of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, right now I'm kind of just focusing on trying to build myself up, and I'll attract that high value female,
exactly.
and it'll eventually it'll eventually work out. Yeah.
I think the best women that I've always come in and interacted with came out of absolutely nowhere. You're just out of the store one day, and
Yeah.
you're doing something, just your regular self, trying to get better every day, and then she just came along out of nowhere.
Well, I want to see, because obviously I just want you to build off that and
I'll
hear
build
your
off
thoughts. Yeah.
I think a high value woman as someone, as you said, non promiscuous. I think we got away from the dating changes changed ever since social media came into play. Nowadays, Instagram is the #1 dating app on the entire thing, and people don't even realize that. They think Tinder and stuff, but like the way women are now available is with social media, they can see really the top 5% of guys and then pick from those top 5%. Yeah. And so you can get pissed off about it and get all mad about it, but I think that's what's, in order to have a high value woman, you want to become a high value man yourself. And like you said, you eventually attract that. So I think a non-promiscuous woman, a woman that really just wants to take care of a family, in my opinion, like that's what I want. I want to build a family with a woman, and so I want her to, like, honestly, you're really close to like my kind of ideal woman. Like I just wanted to be loyal. I wanted to know that she's mine and build something with her. I think that's what is most important in this world.
Yeah, especially with social media, and the social media scene is, you can scroll and probably see, the most beautiful woman you ever seen in your life.
Sure enough.
Like on your phone, and it's wild. So
and, I'll let you finish.
It's just, for me, in my mind, a high value woman is someone who's pretty private about their life.
Yeah.
That's what I'm kind of looking for.
Yeah.
And it's really difficult to find that, because the validation and attention that women get on social media is unmatched. Like,
none of us will ever be able to get up to that.
We can't match that with. It's just us. We're not, thousands and hundreds of thousands of dudes liking their stuff and giving them comments, and so it's difficult, because obviously some women come from a place of innocence with that. They don't, like, some just want to go TikTok famous and like not show off their body and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's hard to find someone who's private about their life. And doesn't share with
doesn't require that validation.
Exactly.
They would only need that validation, say, from a high value man or someone who really loves and respects them, and then they open up that side of their life to you.
And it's difficult too, because there's so many, like, there's dating podcasts, there's so many different, like on TikTok you can scroll and see breakups and just like the texts and everything. It's so hard to find something that's genuine.
Yeah.
And especially genuine in a sense that, hey, I'm on your team. We're in this together.
Yeah.
Like, we're not against each other. We're trying to build something together.
Yeah.
Instead of like, you did this, I don't like you. Instead of like attacking you for doing that, instead of bringing it back and understanding that people don't want to be on the same team.
Yeah. I kind of want to build on that. I've talked to a lot of older women recently. Like, I started talking to my mom, my aunts, like, about kind of this subject, which it's a weird subject to talk about, but I would always ask them, like, when it was back in your guys' time, when you were at a young age, what were you guys' mindset towards men getting married? And all of them have to say, like, oh, we just wanted to build something. We just wanted to, like, find the right man for us. And nowadays, I talk to a lot of women up in Boulder, and they're really just excited about having fun until about their late 20s, and then that's when they get married. And I think when people realize that, the unfortunate thing about women is they're on a time clock. As soon as they turn 18, the beauty and everything that about them is just going to slightly decrease. It starts deteriorating, and so I think women need to take good care of that amount of time they have on their hands.
Yeah. And I think one thing with that is the fact that they have been placed in a bad frame of mind by some guys that have ruined it for all of us.
Yeah.
Because obviously there is those guys that just want girls for their bodies, and that's a lot of what college is. The
100%.
guys materialize the girls, and the girls, therefore, as a result, materialize the guys. And you can't really blame one or the other, like, oh, it's the girl's fault for looking at the guys like this.
Yeah.
So then they don't give the nice guys a chance, or you can't really blame either side, I feel like. But I think that is the reason why the girls are so geared now towards social media. Not all, obviously.
Yeah.
But they're just like, oh, well, no guy's really going to give me that respect, so I might as well take advantage of what they do appreciate me for. And that's not all coming from a bad place, I think. I don't think it's the girl's fault necessarily for thinking that way. Mm-hmm. I think they've been programmed that way because of how our world is going, gearing towards more materialistic things now.
Yeah.
Because you can't know anything about someone's personality from their Instagram. Yeah. You could maybe say, oh, they enjoy this, they enjoy traveling, they enjoy this, but unless you really sit down and have a conversation with them, you're learning nothing based on pictures or videos or text, even you said it's the biggest dating app, you can't date someone on text or on social media. Like even a phone call, you can't read facial expressions, body language. It's just so different nowadays, and I feel like the only really way to go about dating is to actually enjoy their company in person, get to know who they are over a longer period of time.
Yeah.
You can't know someone even based on one day of knowing them. Like you need a lot more than just that. So I think it's dating and getting to know someone is a lot more complicated than people think it is nowadays.
Especially because trust is the hardest thing to come by.
Yeah.
Social media,
Everyone's
Yes.
so closed off now.
it gives access to hundreds of, like, they have endless options.
Yeah.
That's
So
like,
if you mess up once, you could be done.
And then when you do cross that barrier, like you do actually meet up with them in person, they're so much more closed off because they're just not used to that now. Everything's so surface level.
Yeah, they can just text and say something crazy and
And I
not
think-
really mean it.
Yeah, I think that goes both ways with guys and girls.
100%. The surface level stuff for me is just like, I don't even worry about that
I
stuff. Like I'm more worried about
Yeah.
like the serious stuff. Like, are you actually gonna last long? Like, I had a bad breakup and we were together for a bit, but I just wanted to like kind of build it, and
Yeah.
I realized that's what she wasn't about. And so I'm like, that's what I've been searching for, just a woman to try and build something in for the long haul. You know.
Yeah.
And
And
it's
I
hard
think-
after, like, he went through something very difficult. And
Yeah.
it's hard after that to trust. That's why I say trust.
Trust is a
It
big
gets
thing.
ruined in one day.
Yeah.
One relationship can ruin
And
it.
that can
for-
affect your next. I mean, all your next
It
relationships.
Yeah.
until-
it can affect you for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
And it's how you deal with it and how you move forward that sets people apart.
I
think.
I think I have something to add to like kind of the high value woman. Is one thing I've been looking for, and me and Joe have talked about this many times, is communication.
Mhm.
Communication, just being able to have a woman you can talk to about anything,
Mhm.
and like actually get to the source of the problem. You know,
Be
not
open
start
about the
not start
problems.
yelling about it. Actually, just have a sit down and intellectual conversation.
Yeah, and not
It's-
play
it's
games.
huge.
Everyone's trying to be the person who's right, and everyone's trying to be the first to gaslight. Because, like
Yeah.
you said, you have to get to the root of the problem, but it's so easy nowadays to literally just try and be the first one to be right about it,
Mhm.
and then you're right in the situation. But if you do have that high value female intellectually, and she really does care for you, and you both care for each other, you will be able to get to the root of that problem. And if you can't, then you guys just aren't meant for each other. She's not the right type of girl that you want to be looking for.
And that ties into social media again. Like the manipulation. You can manipulate somebody so easy on social media because we're not right next to each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You manipulate, you can play games. The trust is
No one knows what you
Essential.
really mean if you say something on social media. Like I said, you can't read tone.
and just like knowing our location, turn your location off. Like the games that you can play are
It's so
crazy.
crazy.
It's-
The amount of things.
It's so detrimental
Yeah.
to forming a relationship today, and nobody wants to talk about it because everybody wants to play the game, and
Yeah,
like ghosting somebody is easier than talking about it.
we definitely
Sometimes.
got to get some girls on here and get their perspective.
I am curious. Yeah.
Because I mean, we are. It seems us three, since because of the things we've been through. I know you guys have had like tough experiences going through relationships with girls, so you guys have good perspective, and we've all been in long-term relationships. So I think we obviously have a soft spot for the girls. We're not just gonna be like, oh, like it's all the girls' fault, all that. We want to
Yeah.
play both sides, but we can't really get like that full perspective unless we do have a girl sitting here.
Yeah, our views are definitely skewed because
Yeah.
there's quite a lot of things that went behind our views and how we're looking
Yeah.
back. But I think that's back to the self-reflection. I feel like after a breakup, self-reflection is one of the most important
Yeah.
things. It's what helped me get started on my path to editing and
Yeah.
where I'm at now and everything I've got going for me. It started to look back at myself and realize I wasn't happy with the situation.
We're gonna now shift over to more self-improvement topics, how we've dealt with our mental health and working towards being more positive in terms of self-talk and achieving what we want to achieve and not holding ourselves back as much. So if you want to go into
Stu's gone through a lot through his mentality and just being alone. I want to kind of highlight his journey. If you
Yeah.
wanna.
For a while, about a year ago, I had about 40 pounds of fat on me. Like I was looking good when I came out of high school, but then I moved up with a girl. The situation went south, and I really got in my head for a couple months. And I was living with her still at the time, and I just started to just lose myself in myself, and I wasn't talking to anyone else. And then eventually, I just got to a point where I was just depressed. I'd literally just go in my bed, sit there, scroll through TikTok, and I just like it's not a good mindset to be in.
You're part of the Matrix, bro.
Pretty much, I was.
Bad habits.
And then
drinking.
yeah, I was drinking a lot. I was smoking a lot, and then I kind of stumbled across Nico earlier, and I started to just get interested in what him and Andrew Tate were saying. And they're a little bit radical, they're a little loud, but I got into their actual message, and it kind of helped me. So I started to lose some weight, and then I got into contact with Joseph. We had kind of lost contact a little bit, not necessarily, but just not as friendly
Not
as we are
talking
now.
as much.
Yeah, whereas like we talk daily now. We're always on what we're doing next. So talking to him was a big relief for me because he was going to a similar thing. And so when you're able to bounce ideas off each other, it like kind of helps you. And I started doing a daily journal just to kind of see where my mindset is.
Yeah.
And then when I looked back on that, it was really depressing to look at because I was just in such a bad place. And now looking back, it's really good to see because it's kind of just like goals.
Yeah.
Like how much closer am I getting to those goals? And so it was really a battle within myself, and it took a long while to get back to being motivated to go do things.
Yeah, and one thing that I feel like we often overlook is how far we've came, and when you're in that spot back then, it's easy to be like, oh, I'm never gonna get out of this slump. It's gonna take so long, and even now, it's easy to say, oh, I'm still so far from where I want to be in terms of my goals. Like we all three are, I'm sure, are not satisfied. We're super ambitious, and we have lofty goals, and we're like, this is going to be tough to achieve it. It's going to take a long time, but we got to think back to where we were, say a year, 2 years ago, where you were in that time. How far you've already come from there shows you how far you can go going forward.
Oh yeah.
So I feel like we do got to be proud of ourselves sometimes, and that's one thing that makes it easier for me. Like I've already improved so much, so I can be happy with that, but still not satisfied going forward. But I feel like sometimes we're too hard on ourselves, and we don't realize how much we've done and how much we actually have improved in terms of just mentality, because that's going to set you up to be successful in so many other avenues.
And then another thing, kind of building off what you said, is highs and lows. The other day, Joseph had a really high day. He was feeling like the man. I told him, like just in a high value man, his emotional intelligence is huge.
Yeah.
You have to be able to control all the feelings you're feeling. So you got to kind of try and mediate and lengthen out that good feeling as much as you can on those bad days when it's not so bad. And I think that also really helped me is you just always have to be in your mind thinking.
Were you just kind of telling him to like appreciate the moment, just don't get too caught up in it or something?
Pretty
like
much,
that?
because and then sure enough, the next day wasn't such a hot day, and it just goes to show you like some days you gotta appreciate it, but then also take in fact there's still a long way to go. We still have goals in mind, and there's still a lot of stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah, just enjoy those moments, but don't let that consume you, and don't let the vision get lost in that high.
Yeah.
I mean, there's high highs, there's low lows, there's also low highs and high lows. Like it can be
in the middle.
Yeah, it's all about that perspective and keeping that main goal in mind. But you gotta enjoy it. You do gotta enjoy those small wins because they add up.
Yeah, and I think one of the best things to do is stay humble and kind of just keep it to yourself. Like smile about it. You don't have to go bragging everyone that you had an amazing day. Like just kind of keep it to yourself.
I got 100,000 views.
Yeah, like
100,000
views, 1 million views, you get all excited, blah blah blah, and then the next day you post a video and it gets 200.
Yeah.
It's like you just kind of gotta expect the long grind and prepare yourself for it.
Yeah, and it's important. Moderation is the key to happiness today.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. They indulge in so many different negative things so heavily and so many positive things so heavily, and that can also have a negative effect.
Yeah.
So I was grateful for Stu because he was teaching me a lesson, and he was the very next day it was tough. I learned, but it's still hard because comparison is the thief of joy.
Yeah.
And in every aspect, in every way, because you can open Instagram and see somebody with everything in the world, and then you realize, and then if you start comparing, you'll just be down in the slums again. And so you just have to realize, like what you were saying, we've come so far from
Yeah.
where we've been. We don't live these lives as these very flashy people.
Yeah.
We don't need to. We just need to.
It's that
Stay
proof
humble.
to yourself.
Yeah.
It's that proof to yourself that you can do it. There's this one quote I like from Alex Hormozy. You guys might have seen it. It was clipped on TikTok or YouTube Shorts or something. But he was saying you create an undeniable stack of proof that you can accomplish these things, and that's all you need to know that you can keep going. Like if you've accomplished these small wins in the past, it shows you that you can continue to do that, and it adds up over time.
Yeah. So.
There's a really good YouTube video out there by the Marine. I'm sure you might have seen it by Tupper in high school. He says,
My mom showed me that last night on the Instagram Reels, and she was like, "This is like a really good video," and it's like the first thing you do in the morning is make your bed.
Yeah,
And that's your first win of the day.
I used to think it was so stupid, but then like I started to actually think about it, and like I've done it recently. Like started to make my bed in the morning. Like it's a small accomplishment, but the snowball effect is crazy.
Yeah.
You start to realize at the end of the day, and you come home at the end of the day after a tough day, good day, your bed's made. You get to get in there and get comfy. Like,
Yeah.
it's a good mindset to have of snowball effects and how far one of the guys I know from Discord went from being really a nothing editor, and all of a sudden he had one video. Next thing you know, he's Sneako's main editor.
Yeah.
Within a short couple of months. It's
And
all about the
one thing-
snowball effect.
One thing with that, like making your bed, it's such a simple task, or say like brushing your teeth. It's such a simple task, but if you can't wake up in the morning and make your bed, one of the most simple things on earth, if you can't do that, how are you going to expect to make $1,000 in a day on social media? Like, that's taking way more work and way more time required. So you need to work up doing those small things, getting that out of the way, and making sure that you can complete those easy tasks so that when a challenge comes around, you know, I can do these small tasks. I have everything else in my life in order. I'm able to complete these more challenging, more difficult tasks because I've kind of had that snowball effect built up. Like you wake up in the morning, start your day off good. I'm trying to do like morning walks now, even though that's kind of more specific to getting sunlight. Like first thing in the morning, I want to get sunlight and get a little bit of physical activity. But something like that starts your day off good.
How's that helped your mindset, kind of? Because in the morning, I feel like you always wake up each day you wake up with a different mindset. Has it helped regulate it at all?
Yeah, it makes me. I've only done it 3 or 4 times, and I haven't been doing it every day just because I've been getting to sleep too late. Like I'm trying to wake up earlier, and I don't want to get less sleep, so I need to start going to bed later. And that's one of the things I've been bad about with productivity. The earlier I get up, the way more productive my day is.
Mm-hmm.
And so sleep is the biggest thing in terms of me for productivity and waking up earlier. So when I get up, put on some clothes, grab my dog, go on a walk, even just 10 minutes, that makes me kind of appreciate, it kind of makes me appreciate, and I don't use my phone either.
It's perfect.
Sunlight before screen light is
Essential.
Yeah, and it's super tough because a lot of us wake up to our phones now with the alarm. You use your phone instead of an alarm clock, which I feel like everyone should just get an alarm clock.
Immediate dopamine.
You're getting that small dopamine hit, and then you get off your phone and you're like, what am I doing? I'm so bored.
Yeah, you don't know what to do with yourself.
And the first hour of your day is so unproductive. I want to be able to get up, put on clothes, go walk my dog, appreciate nature, appreciate the sunlight, appreciate everything that I have in my life. It allows me to be a little bit more present, I think. You were asking how that's helped me. It definitely feels more present in the moment. And then I get back and I can start my day, and I know I've already started my day off productive in a good way, getting some activity, spending time with my dog.
Yeah.
It's just starts you off in a good headspace, unless you open it, except if you open up on the other hand, if you open up your phone and say you see this person who's like super rich and you're laying in your bed and you're like, oh, I don't want to get up, I'm tired, all this stuff. You just got to open the blinds, get the sunlight in your face, and just go do something productive instead of just sitting on your phone. Because anytime I do that, I feel shitty for a couple hours.
On a deeper note, it's like people don't realize how temporary this is.
Yeah.
Like, we could all be gone tomorrow.
Exactly.
Yeah, you never know.
Don't realize.
Driving home from the podcast.
And it's
we
a scary thing to think about because obviously you don't want to fear death, but to a sense you need to make the most of every single day. You need to go to sleep thinking like, okay, I did something productive that day that's gonna move me forward in my life and make me closer to my goals and happier because, like you said, you don't know when it's gonna be over. You need to enjoy every single day.
People don't realize demoralized because they look at their phones all day and they feel, this couldn't happen to me.
Yeah.
Like this isn't, and that's the issue with phones. Like you could be gone tomorrow, and people don't cherish relationships. People take everything for granted nowadays, and think they're actually a little spoiled in a sense. They think they should have more because they see everybody having more.
With the phones and social media and online, everything just becomes fast to us. I mean, we can go on Amazon Prime and have something delivered tomorrow. Instant gratification. That has built just a base really of people just getting comfortable. We've become so comfortable in this lifestyle. We've advanced so far as a society, as a human society, that we've started to drift away from being scared of the elements, scared of whatever. It's now focused more on kind of our intellectual being, and I think we're the most connected world the world has ever seen. But we're also the most lonely. If that goes to say something,
It's crazy because we have social media, which allows you to be so connected to someone you haven't seen in 7 years, 10 years, old friends. You can keep in contact with them, but at the same time, we have the highest depression rates and the highest suicide rates. People who don't think those are linked, there's no way you could actually think that. That's just ignorant to think. And I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but there's definitely a link between that, and it's because people have these humongous expectations, and they think that their whole world is wrapped up in their phone, and they go outside of their phone, and it's not all perfect, it's not all instant gratification, and then you start to get in that slump, in that depression, and if you don't have what you've always had as that source of happiness, for example, a relationship, and I felt that way, the way you were explaining it, I felt in that sense as well. You're so connected to this person, and then it disappears, and you're like, well, what do I do? Mm-hmm. Where's my source of happiness comes from? So you resort to the instant gratification on your phone.
And that's a dark path to go down, a dark rabbit hole to go down.
Even not even necessarily, it doesn't even have to be negative or dark necessarily. You could be consuming self-improvement content all day, but if you're not actually taking action on that, and that's one thing I've found myself doing a lot recently, is consuming so much productivity content, so much content creation, content, but I'm not actually doing anything to propel myself forward. I'm just consuming it and then not doing anything about it and being like, oh, I learned something, but I'm not applying it, so there's no point. It's just wasting time.
It's kind of crazy how the phones can make you feel a feeling like that.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel like you accomplished something, like you got something done for the day, but in reality, you did absolutely nothing.
It's created a sense of entitlement. Everybody feels as if they're entitled to something. And that's why the workforce has never been so empty. Because people feel like they're entitled. And nowadays, I work as a server, and we have kids coming all the time. Parents just hand them a phone. And it's like...
And usually it's to shut them up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't want my kid to grow up like that. And I know they're not. Because that just gives them endless opportunity to see something crazy.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's
in elementary school,
to the craziest stuff.
We were so innocent.
I loved my life back then. I can't even lie.
I would go back any day.
It was so crazy because I was talking about this the other day, how much more peaceful and how much more happiness I had on a day-to-day basis when I was like a younger kid. Because you were never just sitting on your phone. Maybe you'd watch TV like for a couple hours, but you would just hang out with your friends all day, and there was like no care in the world because you didn't see all this crazy stuff.
Yeah, you just think about playing football with your friends after school.
Yeah.
Pokemon cards. You just think about simple child things. And now, I went to an elementary school the other day, and kids, they had crazy shoes on, like scrolling through their phones. They were saying crazy out-of-pocket stuff, and it's like, well, you're in 5th grade.
Yeah, the kids grow up quicker now because I talk to kids who are like 10, 11, 12, and they're talking about things I didn't learn about or know about until I was like 14, 15, 16.
Tell me about it.
And I'm like, why would you even want to know about that at that age? It's just insane, and I honestly feel bad because it's not their fault. It's so enticing for them. If we had access to that at our age, we probably would have done the same thing.
Exactly.
But we were able to just enjoy each other's company, and I think rooted in the social media, why it became so successful is because people do love connection. Like at the root of everything, people love connecting with other people the most. We're all attracted to genuine people, to each other, and that's why if you just have a trip with the guys, go up to the mountains, no phones, couple of days, those are some of the best times you'll ever have in your life.
Oh yeah.
And those are the times in the recent years when I haven't been on my phone. I've just connected with people, had conversations like this. Those are like the best times I've ever had. And it sucks because we need to go back to our phones to continue doing our work, to be successful on social media. Which is what we're trying to do. We literally have to do our work on our phone.
Our everyday life now. They're tied into the work.
Everything, our workforce, everything, and you can't get an escape from it. I think an escape every here and there is absolutely essential.
Yeah.
I try and as much as I can put my phone away and just go live real life, because then I feel like it grounds you, makes you more humble.
Back to the present.
And like you were saying, it just makes you more in the present.
It reminds you that we're on a planet in this massive universe, and it just sometimes you need.
We forget how crazy life is, and I think that's a lot of the reason people are scared of religion too. Because I've found myself I don't know how you guys feel about religion, but even myself, I've found myself being afraid of thinking about like things outside of our world, because if you really stand there in the middle of and this is like crazy deep topic that we might have to get into another time, but if you stand in the middle of the street and just like look up at the sky, like how is that even there? Like how are we even standing here? How are we breathing? All that stuff is just crazy to think about, and we never think about things like that or really connect to our environment or nature or anything anymore, because we're so focused on what's happening. How's my post doing? What do I gotta do?
Caught up in everybody's life.
I got emails I just want to get to a point with that financial freedom, so I can just enjoy life and never have to worry about what's going on my phone. My finances are secured, and it kind of sucks because I do have to spend so much time on my phone to get to those places. So it's kind of like a give and take. How do you balance it? That's the tough thing.
Our lives as a society have gotten so complex. I mean, that's earlier when I was talking about we used to be scared of the oceans, nature. We used to have simple tasks, feed the family for a day. Simple task. You go and focus on something. Now we have about a bajillion things going on, and it's all within our hand, and we can't put it down. Even as much as we kind of try, it's glued to our hands. And I think trying to get yourself back to that simplistic mindset of back in the 1900s, 1800s that we've tried so hard to get away from is actually kind of what we need to get back to.
And that goes into what Stu and I are going to try and do in the next couple months with our content. It's
just trying to get this message out there, honestly.
Exactly.
That's the goal.
It's the goal.
Allow more people to see that perspective. And there is a lot of people like us who just don't know how to get there. They don't know how to find people like us to network with. Like you guys said, you really enjoyed networking with those people in that Discord. And finding people like us is hard to find, but they're definitely out there. And a lot of people can change. They can see this and say, I could make a life outside of college. They could say, oh, I hate college. Maybe I should give entrepreneurship a try, give self-improvement a try. And then they find so much more happiness in that. And that's kind of what I'm trying to do with my podcast and my other platforms as well. It's just, how do I start that? That's the hardest part, I think, is getting off the ground, because we all have good messages to share. And I'm similar to what you guys are saying you want to do as well. So I think we've just got to figure out how to pave the way to that success and getting in front of those eyes. And that's what the clips are for. That's what the podcast is for, reaching more people so that we can help other people live the lives we want to live, and we can live the lives we want to live ourselves and be more happy. Continue to promote
it's kind of contradictory to what we're trying to do, because we have to play the game.
We have to play the game to a certain extent, but you can also play the game in an authentic way. We can use the algorithm, these apps, and this social media to our advantage, but we're not doing it in a malicious way. We're not trying to take advantage of people.
Yeah, we're not trying to...
It's just using resources.
Degeneracy.
It's just using resources and trying to bring something of value out of the degeneracy of society. Like, we can use a thing that's been corrupted and make it into a more positive thing. And I think that's what podcasts do.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think this is probably a good place to wrap up. We have a ton more we could talk about. We'll definitely get another episode in the future. Hopefully we'll have a couple more eyes on the podcast after Simplicity. We got some good ones. And we need to get some females on the pod. Anybody who watches this, if you're a high value female, you believe you are, or if you believe you aren't, we'd love to have you on.
There's an open seat right here.
We'd love to pick your brain, have you roast us, say men are the scum of the earth.
Please do.
All that stuff. Comment down below if you guys enjoyed this episode. leave us some suggestions for guests or future topics on another podcast. And yeah, thank you guys for coming on. It was
appreciate you, man.
super
Yeah,
great
yeah,
conversation.
enjoy
Appreciate
it.
the opportunity.
See you guys.
The little wave at the end was crazy.
Getting that little mid pod sweat going. Calm the nerves.
Exactly, bro.